Breakfast Central always, of course, throws in a little bit of sports, to make your mornings complete. And this morning we have, once again, the ever-dazzling Onyinyechi Obaru. Thanks for joining us. Good to see you.
Good to see you,
and I hope you've come with good news.
Yes. I've brought good news for you. Of course, there were 12 teams in Morocco. They broke down to 8, now to 4, and now there are 2 final teams into the Women's African Cup of Nations. Olive. Of course, I'm done in the South African style right now because I know that they are the first team to pick a ticket to the finals of this year's WAFCON.
How about the Falcons?
The Falcons, they went into the Lioness den and they were really humbled in there. It was like 9 Falcons fighting against 11 Lionesses. It's sad. You want to picture
really
that?
Sad. That's really sad.
So wait, they had 9 players against
9
11
players.
Do you think that had an impact in why they didn't come out the winners or come out
I
champions?
don't think it did have an impact because when a game gets to penalty shootouts, it becomes a game of luck.
Okay. All right, lead us through what's happening with Banyana. I hear that they have some good news. Talk to us about it.
Of course, they do have a good news in the world of sport. Of course, I'm tracking stories from the Women's African Cup of Nations. Banyana claimed a dramatic 1-0 victory against Zambia at the Mohammed V Stadium in Morocco to book their place in the Women's African Cup of Nations finals. Banyana were gained from their best in the match and the match could have gone either way, as Zambia certainly looked as if they were up for the challenge. After much deliberation, the video assistant referee pulled its weight and handed South Africa a 5th WAFCON final ticket. Now, in the other group game, that's in the only semi-finals that we had yesterday, the women's national team of Morocco, the Atlas Lioness, beat defending champions Nigerian Super Falcons on Monday night to book a place in the final of this year's Women's African Cup of Nations. The thrilling encounter saw the Nigerian team reduced to 9 women after 2 of their players got sent off due to bookable offences. Now, despite being reduced to a man down, the African Queens took the lead in the 62nd minute, but were short-lived as Morocco restored parity 4 minutes later. Morocco went on to win on penalties. The host nation will now play the first ever Women's African Cup of Nations on July 23rd against South Africa, will beat Zambia in the other semi-final by a lone goal. Now, I must tell you right now that it seemed like the Moroccans were playing with 12 players on the pitch up against the Super Falcons, who had only 9 players on the pitch. Talking about 12 players, they had the support of their fans. Of course, that stadium was filled to the brim, having Moroccan supporters give them the vibe, give them the support, give them the chance that they needed to, of course, humble the defending champions. The defending champions were going for 10 titles, but it seemed that other teams in Africa have been able to step up their games and then stern the defending champion, tell them that you don't have to dominate from having 9 titles, now making it 10. No way. Of course, it's coming short in 2022. So the Moroccans are through to their first ever Women's African Cup of Nations finals. They will have to face the Banyana. Now, I must tell you that the Banyana were runners-up in 2018 and they had to face Nigeria. Nigeria defeated them in that championship. But this time, maybe it's going to be a revenge mission. Maybe it's going to be a statement. Maybe it's going to be something that will come as a big surprise as they go up against the host nation, Morocco, goes for the final day. July 23rd is the date, and we cannot wait to see what is it going to be. The team for Renat Pedres and Desiree Elise, a woman up against them, of course, a man there. Is it going to be the last laugh for the woman team, the coach, or going to be the man who was tested Champions League before and now the coach of the Moroccan Atlas Lionesses? Will it be the last laugh for him? We would know, of course, when the finals gets underway on July 23rd, but let's get to feel the razzmatazz coming from Morocco. All right, now we have joining us Nigerian football commentator who is based in the US, Edafe Matthew, to get the feel of what happened yesterday. We know that Nigerian fans are looking they are really not happy at this time because we all thought that the Super Falcons would get a decimal for 2022. Edafe, thank you for joining us today. So What's your evaluation on the two semi-final games?
Well, the Nigerian game was very explosive, was full of everything you expected. The hosts came in their numbers as fans. They came out to support. The South African game was, I mean, as expected. I expected South Africa to win. I also was expecting a lot more goals in that game, but that didn't happen. But beyond that, I want to focus on the Nigerian game. I've seen a lot of people send me messages, everything that, the referee robbed us. The 2 red cards were valid. Okay, there was a stump on a Nigerian player that the referee didn't have to go and check back. I don't know why that is. But then it was still great to play 9 men against 11 and still able to play the whole extra time and lose that to the goalkeeper save on anomalous penalty. I felt like we're hard done by, because if you're held on like that, Mother Luck should have smiled on us. I guess La Decima is going to take some time to come. But even at that, I think they did well. It's one of those games where you see the Falcons gave their best. It was one of their best performances. And to cripple us with the removal of Alimatu, because she was the shield in front of the center back, and then to remove our nitro, the fuel that powers the engine going forward in Rasheedat Ajibade, we were already cut off. But, I mean, we held on.
Okay, we would see if we'd get network there. Edafe, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You're talking about Rasheedat Ajibade's red card.
Yeah, I think when that red card to Ajibade happened, I just told myself that we need a solid class act in defending. If we can defend with, a webbed unit together, we just might get it right. But, I mean, we did exactly that, but penalty just didn't work for us, and penalty is a lottery. And I must say that the game against Morocco was one of our best performances in the tournament. Okay, we played against every other opponent that we were supposed to beat. We saw Morocco at the Aishat Buhari tournament. We already knew that this team was a rising team in Africa, and they were going to be a problem. And they're playing against the host country. Those 50-50 opportunities will always go their way. And what happened.
Okay, let's talk about the officiating. We know the Nigerian fans are really upset at this time. But what's your evaluation of the officiating, the 2 red cards on both games? Because the video assistant referee came to the rescue of the Banyana as they got a penalty shoot, and that was the goal that got them the ticket to the final. So let's talk about that officiating from both games, especially that of Nigeria versus Morocco, the 2 red cards.
The purpose of bringing the VAR, we already saw that at the African Cup of Nations in Cameroon for the men. A stomp on the ankle is judged as a red card offense. We saw it with Alex Iwobi and a whole lot of others that it happened to across the men's Nations Cup. So for this, I'm not going to be crying here and say the officiating was bad, because it wasn't bad.
Okay.
The officiating wasn't bad at all. It was a perfect officiating. At some point, I think we considered a goal that is due to the goalkeeper spilling the ball when she did. But I don't think there's any part of the game across the 90 minutes plus 30 where I would say, the officiating was biased against us. The 2 red cards were justified red cards. And the referee didn't just show up and say, red card. She gave yellow cards. But for the first one, she didn't even give a card. She just called back the game because they communicated to her in her ear that you have to make a check on this. And she did a proper check. When I first saw the game, the referee going to VAR, I was like, it was just a simple tackle. Why is she going to the VAR? But then when I saw that stomp on that leg, that's a red card any day, anytime. Rasheedat Ajibade, it's unfortunate. She went for the ball, a little too stretched, too much stretch. The player, the Moroccan player had a leg on the way, and she stomped on it. It's a red card. There is no argument about it. It's just unfortunate.
Okay, but a lot say that maybe the officiating went in favor of the host nation, Morocco. But you've clarified that right now. So does this result show that we've got the Super Falcons are really dwindling in form, or the failure of the team? But maybe, should we say that this result at this time has shown that African teams in the women football has improved? Because we could see Morocco yesterday against the Super Falcons. They went all out, stretched the game beyond 90 minutes. Are we seeing improvement from other African teams in women's football?
Yes, there is improvement, because we saw the Burundi team start the tournament against Botswana. Saw what they did. South Africa is no longer the team you can beat for 5 anymore. They beat us at the beginning of the tournament, 2-1. And then you see Morocco. With Morocco, we know from the facility that they set up, the Mohammed V facility, you know that football is now a priority for Morocco. They want to bring back the good old days where they were producing Yusuf Shipo, Mustafa Haji, and the rest of them. And you don't invest that much and not grow. So they've set up process to grow. For South Africa, they've been on this process for a very long time. Unfortunately, they don't produce as much talent as the resources or infrastructure that they have demand. Nigeria, I wouldn't say we're dwindling. Dwindling is not the word to use. But I think that in the last 10 years, we've actually, government-wise, we've actually not invested in sports development, infrastructure, and a process to grow the sports like we used to have. When I was growing up, we have teams like Ufoma Babes, Larry's Angel, we became Rivers Angels that produced players like, what's it called?
Monday Gift. Okay.
Florence Omagbemi, Precious Avril was in my primary school, and a host of others, you know, Ngozi Okoseme, Nkiru, you know, all of these players. But these days, apart from FC Robo and maybe Rivers Angels and National Amazons, they don't also produce the quality that we used to have. It cut across all sports. Let me put it this way so that people who are viewing and listening can understand very well. Before, we had like 100% of the sports budget. It's very massive. But today, the budget for national youth and sports, 80% goes to NYS, 20% goes to sports. So you already see where the deficit lies in terms of infrastructural development, in terms of product. You know, we don't have great coaches like we used to have. So all of those things needs to change. It's not a dwindling. That's why we keep running to Europe and America to go get Nigerian-born players that are there. And I don't have any problem with that. But we should have our base, okay, that we also build here. We cannot depend on the pot of soup of another person to always feed our children. So we need to cook our own soup and be able to feed our children at the right time that we want to feed them. But it doesn't mean that the Falcons are dwindling. I'd rather say that the rest of Africa is catching up. It's our job now to boost our engine so that we'll run just as fast as Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton.
Okay, we cannot talk about that performance from the Super Falcons without putting the spotlight on the coach. Where do you think the coach, as in, where do you think the coach has gotten things wrong from that particular game against Morocco?
The game against Morocco, the coach did nothing wrong. Selection was perfect. Tactics was on point. The game was against the host country. Nigeria, you know, took the game to them. We wanted to break them down, but you know how Morocco play. They play a low block system of play, waiting for you to wear yourself out, and then they hit you for the counter. Up until this game, Morocco had not scored any goal on the run of play. All of their goals were coming from dead ball. If it's not a penalty, it's a free kick or so. So tactically, it was difficult. It's always difficult. Even Pep Guardiola finds it difficult to defeat a team that is playing low block. Now, having said that, at the time we got to that 2 red card and we still held our own that high, I think if there is any game that Coach Randy Waldrum would use to justify his tactical ability, I think it is this game, because somehow some other coaches would have panicked, would have lost the plot, but he kept it high. There was only one game in this tournament where the coach did get it right. It was the first game. He gambled wrongly because the selections were poor. After that game, Coach Randy Waldrum was on point in every game. And I know that some section of Nigerian media will come back to bite. You know, we do a Benatra on this coach now and want him out because of his statement where he said Nigerian media are negative. But hey, the caution here is be careful so that we don't prove the man right that Nigerian media is actually very negative.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, Edafe Matthews, for your contribution on the show today. Thank you so very much. We appreciate your time.